Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 From Art to Atoms.
You say it the same way every single time.
Do you want me to vary it?
No, I'm just saying you could mix it up a little bit. Just say something different. Other
I know,
than,
but
hi,
now
everybody.
I feel stuck. Well, I can't say good evening because you never know when they're listening. Now I don't know what to say for the intro.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome to episode 10 of From Art to Atoms.
That's not me.
Welcome to the weekend.
It drops on Thursdays.
Welcome to episode 10. Hi, everybody, and welcome to From Art to Atoms. That's how you go. Go.
I hate you.
Well, that's right. That's how you do it.
It is. It's not
It's like a roller coaster ride. You go, hi, everybody. Go.
Hi, everybody.
Woo!
Shut up. I hate you. God. Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 From Art to Atoms.
The Ultimate Curiosity Show.
I'm Brandon Shoemaker.
This is Michael.
And it's a special episode for a number of reasons. Well, first, I just want to say episode 5 just dropped yesterday from when we're recording this episode. So we're about 5 episodes ahead of ourselves. And now that we've had several weeks of listenership, we just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to all of you who are listening to us regularly and to just encourage you. We would love to hear your feedback. Those of you who do give us feedback, which is mostly, people that we know very well, but
Shout out Marcel and Max.
yeah, which we adore and we are greatly appreciative of, but we want to hear from everybody else too. So we also discovered that apparently we've got some listeners in some foreign countries: Brazil, Germany, Spain, Bahrain, Portugal. Not Portugal, Brazil is why I was thinking Portugal, because Portuguese. Netherlands was on there too. There were 6 in total. Well, the U.S. was one of them. So if I named 5 countries,
we have more international listeners than we do domestic.
For real, right? But anyway, especially those of you in those other countries, we would love to hear from you as well. For one, so that I can prove to Michael that you're just not just bots, because he's convinced that you're just bots generating, I don't know, listenership from off the continent.
We need you to generate some revenue for us.
we gotta have a certain number of listeners before we can even consider that, because the platforms don't let us otherwise. But no, like I said, seriously, thank you so much for those of you who are listening, and please just take a moment to, we say it at the end of every episode, but we know some of you probably don't make it all the way to the credits, basically at the end for the outro.
We want your feedback and any advice you can give us on topics or how to improve, or what you want to hear. If you have any questions of curiosity that you want us to investigate and find out some stuff about for you, give us that information.
Yeah, we would love to have it. Truly. Hit us up on, sorry to say Facebook. We don't have a Facebook page.
We do have a email address.
Yes, you can send us an email from arttoatoms@gmail.com.
Yep. You can also comment on Instagram.
Our DMs are open.
Yep.
I'm single too, by the way. Just putting that out there if anybody feels interested. Michael's happily married, but I'm still on the hunt, so
Whoa.
I'm going to take that out.
Whoa. Who said anything about happy?
Okay. Well, he's not going to be happy for long. I can tell you that now.
Wow. The other one, the significant other does not listen to our show.
He doesn't?
No, he does not.
Oh my God. I'm going to
not.
give him hell. He's not going to be our first guest in studio anymore then.
No, I think it needs to be Kenzie. Does Kenzie listen?
Yes. She talked about how
we need to have her first then.
Yeah, she's going to be our first guest. Okay. That'll be it. More stuff, more logistics for us to figure out.
Well, so I was thinking we could have her just call in where she's at and do remote.
Yeah, because too, like I said, we don't have a third microphone, so that's going to make things easier.
We could have her do the remote stuff.
Yeah.
She could call in. She doesn't have to be here. She can call her from wherever she's at.
Exactly. Yeah. She'll just get on her laptop.
So then I could really just kind of do wherever I'm at too, if we ever need to.
I mean, yeah, but we don't want to do that on the regular just because the sound quality isn't going to be as good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right. So so again, thank you so much, listeners, and let's dive on into this week's topic.
Tipping in restaurants.
Gratuity.
Yes. We're going to talk about the tipping culture in America and also some tips on tipping.
Oh, God, that was corny. I mean, it was good, but it was corny. I mean, it sounds like a dad joke that I would tell. And that too. Oh, God, I heard the best dad joke the other day, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh. It was on Instagram, and it wasn't a dad. It was actually a little boy. Why are chickens funny?
I don't know.
No, say why.
Why?
Because.
Okay. Moving right along. As Fozzie Bear would say, waka waka.
Hey, I love Fozzie.
Yeah.
All right, so tipping. Why don't you give your background regarding tipping? That way the folks at home can have a better understanding of where you're coming from, especially.
So, oh my goodness. Before I became a teacher, I left the restaurant industry probably about 10 years ago. And before that, had worked in the restaurant industry for how many years?
Since you were what?
20.
Yeah.
So was that almost 10 years in it. And so in the first restaurant I worked at, there was no tipping. Like, it was a full service. You pay at the counter.
It was Chuck E. Cheese. Let's just say
it was.
It was Chuck E. Cheese.
And so there was no tipping there.
Yeah.
And our employees got full pay, like minimum wage. So there was no tipping pay or anything like that, like server pay. And then when I left there, I decided to go back to college. And so I got a part-time serving job at another restaurant. And so as a server, then I worked as a server for 4 years with them while going through college. And then even after that, because honestly, tipping, it was good money.
Yeah.
So it was full service restaurant. And so I have some experience with tipping because of that. And I have some opinions on that. So when I dine out, I'm very particular about tipping.
Well, and I will say he has some major opinions on all things service industry related, but we're saving that for an entirely different topic for an entire different episode.
I was going to say that right there is its own podcast.
Yeah.
Like, that is not one episode.
We tease him, we being Thomas and myself, we tease him about how he needs his own reality TV show, kind of like Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay, except it's Michael doing the same thing, but to the wait staff and the service staff.
I'd be screaming in their ears.
Oh yeah, you definitely would. He always has an opinion about the service and how long it's taken and things like that.
Okay.
And now, but let me say, in your defense, there are lots of people who do the same thing, but who've never worked in the service industry.
Right. So
you at least have the experience to back up that opinion.
I think it's because, I understand what it's like to be a server. And so I understand that sometimes you are in the weeds and you are short staffed and you are covering for other people and you are tired, and I get all that. So I do cut slack when I see you busting your butt, when I see you actually trying. But if you're just in the back talking, like, that's no go for me, And there are times when all of your tables are completely, everything's done at them. And that's okay to have it that way. And then you have time to breathe. But if your tables are waiting for anything at all, I have an issue with you just kind of hanging out. I do.
Yeah,
I do. And I'll say the restaurant that I worked at was full service, and it was not top scale. Like, it was not the top of the line scale as far as like service, but it was middle ground. I mean, it was
you're talking about Bonefish.
Yeah. Bonefish Grills.
Yeah.
So like our typical diner plates, our per customer ticket was sometimes $45.
Right.
And so if you're spending $45 on a meal, 35 for the entree, 10 for an appetizer, that's not including a drink, you expect better service than you would at, let's say, Chili's.
Right.
Great
example.
What?
Chili's.
Well, I mean, and it's just, and I don't understand the concept of one's better than the other, because service-wise, server pay is the same across the board. The only thing that's different is the tip of the gratuity that you earn from that. So you could be a server at Chili's, and get the same amount of tipping percent-wise from a nicer restaurant. Now your per plate meal, your ticket won't be as high because it's a different price range of entrees. But so like when we go out to dinner, though, I'll tell you. So Thomas is a very big. I almost said he's a very big drinker, but not like that. Not like that. Thomas will get Dr. Pepper, or he'll get a Pepsi, or like a sweet tea, and so he drinks a lot.
Right.
When he eats, and so my biggest thing.
Refills.
And so we talk about that. Like, if his drink stays halfway full to all the way full, without us having to ask for refills,
Mm-hmm.
that person's getting 25% automatically
Ah,
for us, because that's someone who's paying attention to the needs of the table.
right.
And that's someone who's being proactive and not coming up to the table and saying, oh, hey, do you need some more with that? No, just do it. Like, you
Right.
see it, so just be proactive and do it. You shouldn't come up to the table and say, is there anything else that you need? As a server, you should have what our needs are in your mind when you come up to the table already.
Right. Be observant and see what
Correct.
it is they need
Correct.
and then verify.
Yes.
Or preempt.
Right. So be prepared for that. Don't, like I said, be proactive on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they are like that, they get a good tip from us. I will say that there's been very few times that I've undertipped. And for me as a server, a past server, we do always tip about 20%. And I know that's a little high for some people,
Mm-hmm.
but I do that because I know some people don't tip.
Right.
And I know some people only tip 5%.
Right.
And so even if it is not the best service, I still feel like my 20% kind of averages a little bit out to what they won't get,
Yeah.
because it's a hard industry to be in.
Yeah.
It is. You're on your feet all day, sometimes 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
There's no sitting down. Eating, as far as a server, if you decide to eat, you are missing out on money.
Yeah.
So taking a 30-minute break can cost you almost $60 if you have a good table.
Right.
And so they don't usually eat. And if they do, it's a bite here or a bite there. It's not a substantial meal at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is a rough job to have.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, if the service is bad, I will mention it.
Yeah.
Not afraid to.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
I'm paying for that.
Yeah.
So, and the way the economy is right now, the fact that we don't have a lot of expendable income, so when we choose to go somewhere, I'm expecting something from that.
Right.
So I just, it is what it is.
Yeah. Now, granted, you tip based on your personal experience. So let's talk numbers for just a second.
Okay.
What do you think, traditionally people have the standard of 15 to 20%.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's a fair number, a fair estimate? Do you think most people should be tipping higher than that? Or do you think that's a good baseline to use?
So let's say, like, for you, like, if we go to dinner and you're just paying for yourself,
Right.
like not me or Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously we have 2 entrees.
Right.
So let's say that our usual ticket's about maybe $45.
Mm-hmm.
And so 20% of that is just about $9, so
You did that math fast, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Well, it is.
No, it is. I know. I'm just like, I was like, that would take me several minutes to stop.
Oh, no,
and think.
it's $9. So for that person, and like I said, servers may have 4 tables in their section. And so we're table number 1. Well, on a slow night, like say a weeknight, they usually don't make as much money as they do on Friday and Saturday and Sundays.
Right.
So it's a Tuesday night. So we may be one of only 5 tables that person gets the whole night,
Mm-hmm.
and they're working a 4-hour shift. So my $10 helps them at least get $10 an hour,
Yeah.
which is not a lot of money at all.
Yeah.
But for
Although better
you-
than what some people make.
I know, but for you, let's say that yours is half of what ours is, so about $20.
Right.
10% of that's only
10% would be 2.
right. So 20% would be
4.
right. So think about that. So if you got 4 tables like that, that's only $16 an hour.
Yeah.
And so for them, and I'm not saying that their work is more difficult, but it is definitely it's a stressful job. You're on your feet physically. It's
Yeah.
demanding. And so I tried, like I said, to balance out. So I think 18-20% is a good range,
Uh-huh.
especially if you're in what price point you're in as far as a restaurant.
Uh-huh.
Like for where we go,
Right.
it would be about, like I said, about $20 for you, 45 for us.
Mm-hmm.
So
So now basically I'm wondering, so then do I need to be tipping more?
what do you tip?
Usually about 20%. Like on a $20 check, I would tip $4.
Well, no, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
Okay, because you just said something about
Yeah, but do you ever go out to dinner by yourself or lunch by yourself?
Not usually.
Okay,
Not
so
at a
even if it's
sit-down
not with me and
restaurant where I would
Thomas,
have
it
to
might be
tip.
with Kenzie or someone else.
Right.
And so with 2 people tipping at a table, $4, that's $8 an hour.
Okay, true.
That's from one table. Let's say you get
Yeah.
3 tables, that's $24 an hour. So,
Yeah.
it kind of washes out. That's when I say 20. Now, if you did like a 10%, $2.50 on one table is not worth the time.
Right.
It just isn't.
Yeah.
When you think about that, that's not even a gallon of gas.
Yeah.
So is it worth my time, my physical demands of the job, being on my feet all day, not eating? Is it worth the time you're putting in. So no, on that end, it would not be for me.
Yeah. I just think back on my childhood and just feel mortified because my father was the type who would, well, when I was little, he would leave $1 on the table. And
that's a generational thing. I think
that's what I was going to say. I think it was a generational thing. And then once, by the time I was in my teens, he was leaving $2 on the table because inflation. But
well, if he were alive today, he'd be leaving $3.
I think he was leaving $3, before he died. I think that was his.
But see, so let me ask you though, how demanding of a guest or a patron was he?
Oh, he was always the most easygoing of patrons.
Well, that may be why he thought about that.
So yeah, and honestly, I mean, I can ashamedly admit, in my early years of solo dining, after started dining out without my parents, I and my friends were in that same habit that our parents had essentially taught us of tipping a base amount and just that. Now, granted, this was no like high-end dining establishments or anything like that. This was like late night dinner at Denny's and stuff like that. But still, it's enough where I think back on it now and just cringe and want to go back and apologize to every waitress that I ever had.
Well, you can by making sure that you pay it forward and tip now.
Oh yeah, and I do, and I've for a long time I over tipped. Probably I'd say around 30% or so. And that was because at the time I was, my roommate was a server, and I saw daily what sort of hell she went through, basically, because this was when I lived at the beach, and they had all kinds of tourists that would come in, and they were especially crappy tippers. So that got me into the habit of over tipping for a while until I realized that I was going broke.
Well, I would say that you really need to evaluate the service, the type of service they're providing, and like the quality of service they're providing, and then make the judgment there.
Yeah.
By no means you should not tip less than 15%.
Yeah.
You should not. And like I said, there's only been, I believe, one time that we left a small tip on purpose because it was just horrible service.
Right.
And so people are, that's another thing too, is like when you're tipping in rules, I'll tell you as a server, you can like not tip. Like they have people that say, oh, I'm not going to tip anything at all. But you're doing a disservice to the server. And I hate saying that in the terms of their performance, because when you don't give anything at all, they may take that as, oh, they forgot.
Right.
So you should always leave something, even if it's $1 or even if it's a few cents. So that way they intentionally know it was their service that caused them to get the tip that they got, not because you forgot. But some people don't even take that as a hint. So,
right.
Now,
here's one thing, though, that does frustrate me about tipping. And, well, really the thing that frustrates me about tipping is the fact that we do it at all. Especially now, in the media, you hear lots of stories about the explosion of tipping expectation. You go to check out at an ice cream bar or something like that. You go to a Cold Stone or a Baskin Robbins or something like that. And the kiosk asks,
would you like to tip? Yeah. And
right.
It's like, so if it's not full service, you should not be tipping.
Exactly.
And I will say for someone that owns like a food truck or something like that, where they're preparing the food for you right away, that's a manual thing. That person does not have the wage a kitchen worker or a chef would have.
Exactly.
So that person, minimum 10% there.
Yeah.
But like the teenagers, and I'll be honest, it's kind of tacky when you walk into a place like
I think
that has like a jar that says tips.
Yeah.
Like, what are you tipping for? You scoop an ice cream, you're making $9 an hour.
Yeah.
Like, what is your tip for?
Right. Because, in traditional restaurants with, where, what is it called? The server salary?
Yeah.
Where it's essentially covering their tax.
Right. Yeah.
Or something.
Right.
That I understand at least. Yes, there is an expectation. And especially in America, yes, you must tip. I mean, granted, the tip police aren't going to come after you if you don't.
Yeah.
But, that is the expectation. My frustration is I really wish we would switch to what they do in Europe, which is you don't tip and your gratuity is built in in the price of the food. So essentially, they pay their wait staff a regular salary like any other job, and they don't make tips. And that's enough of a salary. That's what their salary is. There's no guesswork. There's no, oh my gosh, am I going to make enough tonight to make my rent that's due tomorrow or anything like that? That's their salary. They know how much they're making.
So let me ask you a question then. So should all teachers be paid the same? Or should there be incentives built into performances if you perform well as a teacher or you meet certain goals?
Well, and that's the thing. It's not like they're frozen at that salary forever. It's like any other job. You do better over time, you get a raise.
No, what I'm saying though is that, so in that case though, that you might get a bad server. Like let's say you and I go to a restaurant and I get one table, a bad server, you get one table, good server, both servers are getting paid the same. Why should your experience be better than mine because you got the better server than me?
Well, I mean, like you said, the same argument could be made about teachers, but yet they do.
Right, I know, but there are also incentive bonuses in place for teachers, correct?
Not frequently.
Not frequently, but there are.
It's only recent and it's very uncommon.
Okay, but what I'm saying, like for the server, that's incentive to give good service.
But not all servers. In fact, have you ever watched Adam Ruins Everything?
No.
Oh, you should. I highly recommend it. But anyway, there's one episode where he discusses kind of all things service industry, and he discusses tipping there. And I forget which survey it was that he cited, but it was a survey of surveys, essentially. And it essentially found that
by removing the tip,
people's tipping habits had nothing to do with the quality of service.
So basically, the tipping itself had no effect at all on service.
Exactly.
Quality.
People were. I think it was a 1% difference that was actually based on service.
And
everything else was just based on
in
America.
Okay, I was going to say because
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, this was in America. So they're not doing that. They're not actually tipping based on service. I don't really ever tip based on service. You don't tip based on service unless you sit, like you said, except for that one instance that you can recall. So, the majority of people as it is don't. Instead, they tip like, oh my God, why do I have to do a math problem here at the end of dinner?
Well, no, I mean, I tip on service though. If it's bad service, I'm going to let you know.
But like you said, you're going to let them know.
And sometimes
not
that's
reflect
in the tip.
in the tip.
I am not. Yeah, no, I will not tip at 18 or 20% if it's bad service.
So then what do you tip when it's bad service?
About 10%.
Well, okay, that's not what you said before.
That's what I mean by letting them know.
Well, no, you said you always at least give 15.
But I don't have, very rare do I have bad service though.
Well, then my God, I wish you would quit complaining every single time we go out to dinner.
Don't eat with me though.
You legit, you find something to complain about the service every single time.
Well, after COVID, service in restaurants has gotten down a lot.
Oh yeah, but this has been long before COVID. You've been complaining about service in restaurants.
Well, then maybe they should be good like me.
Like everything else in the world.
That's how it comes down. You don't drive like me. You need to. You don't serve tables like me. You need to. I can't help it. It's a burden that I've been tasked with to carry all of this greatness.
I'm so sorry, late great Maggie Smith. I didn't realize you had risen from the dead in your Downton Abbey performance.
I told you that
What was her name?
Who?
Maggie Smith's character in Downton Abbey. Lady...
I almost said Lady Godiva.
All I can think of is Lady Danbury from Importance of Being Earnest.
It's not, no. I don't remember who it is.
I don't remember.
Anyway, so I can't help it that I am observant and I call it like I see it. It is what it is. It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
No, but I do. I wish that service industry workers, well, because do you know the origin of tipping in America?
No. Tell me, oh great wise one.
I can't help it that I know history. It's just who I am.
Did you research that today?
To refresh my memory, I already knew, but I wanted to make sure I had all my facts straight.
You wanted to make sure you had all your flack?
My facts straight.
Your fat straight?
That's what we did the cropping with the camera for earlier, asshole. What the hell was I saying?
About the history of tipping.
History of tipping.
See, I pay attention. You don't even know what you're talking about, and I do.
And so anyway, it started, I mean, now granted, gratuity has existed for hundreds of years in different forms, but what?
Sure, it did exist in different forms in the Roman Empire.
Oh, God. Well, anyway. Yeah. So, but in terms of the customary expectation of tipping for service in restaurants originated during Prohibition and the Great Depression.
Okay.
So restaurants were making less, and so they told the servers, we don't have enough money to pay you. In other words, before that, it was considered tacky and déclassé to offer somebody money for better service.
Right.
Because it was essentially considered bribery.
Right.
Which is actually interesting because bring me back to that in a minute.
Okay.
But it was considered bribery. And so during Prohibition, restaurants were making less money, and they said, hey, you might actually need to take up Mr. Al Capone on his offer of service because we don't have the money to pay you tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's essentially how it began, and it caught on, and other restaurants said, oh, okay, let's do that. Let's just, make them tip.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's essentially why we have it the way we have it today. That it's an expectation that
right.
it's part of that we are essentially paying their salary.
Right.
And it just never fell out of favor for some reason. Well, we know why. It's because the restaurants didn't have to, they were making more money. And so anyway, that's why, in Europe and other places around the world, why it hasn't caught on
right.
in the same. Now it is in some countries and,
right.
and whatnot, but especially Europe, it's more, you have to check the check.
Right. And well, we would not be able to switch over for the same reason why, like when we talked about the ChatGPT episode about why we use the empirical system, not the metric system of measurement, because our street signs would cost too much money to change if we went from miles to kilometers. Could you imagine the outrage of people if the cost of the service was absorbed into the price of the food?
Oh, yeah.
Like menu prices would skyrocket and people would be, I'm not paying so-and-so for,
Well, and two, they would probably, the habit of tipping, let's say, would probably take a while to even die out.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you, if they change the price and put that into the cost of the food, it's dying out pretty fast for me.
Well, I mean, true.
As
would I. And that's why, and that's something that some people, even politicians, have started saying, like we were talking earlier about the explosion of tipping in all these other places that we're not used to.
Yeah.
And it's not an expectation.
Right.
They're starting to say, well, maybe we should reevaluate this whole tipping thing altogether.
Well, I'm gonna tell you though, like when we go, when I go in and order food, they have a local deli here in town, right? And great deli, great cupcakes and cookies and great sandwiches and great ready-made meals and stuff like that. And they do hot food there, like some of the best food in town, freshest food. But when I go in there to order a cake, the cake is in the counter, like it's in there,
right?
In the case. And I'm thinking about this because I bought a cake last week to celebrate birthdays, on staff birthdays last week for the month of August and September.
Yeah.
But the cake was $45. And so all they did was basically take the cake out of the case. It was already in a container, put it in a bag, and ring it up.
Hand it to you. Yeah.
And then the tipping screen comes on. And then there's a sense of guilt that comes across me of, why when I press no tip, and then like part of me has a thought of, well, do they see that before?
Right.
Are they going to be mad, or are they going to be like, oh, well, like I said, it's a guilt thing for me at that point.
Yeah.
But I still press no.
Okay, good. Because I
have to get over that because my dollar is like,
you're such a gung ho tipper. I thought you were tipping all these places.
Well, I used to, but then I realized I was like, well, you can't really do anything for me but take the cake out of the case and put it in the bag. Like, I mean, I do the same thing when I go to the grocery store. No one's tipping me, so
exactly. And that's what people in the media and on the news and things like that have been saying, is that there's no actual service going on there, and these are places where they're already making an actual
full wage, right? They're full at least minimum wage,
right?
No, I agree. But like I said, there's a sense of guilt that comes across saying no.
Oh, absolutely. Me too. Every time, even though I hit no. I initially, when it first started, because it's such and I feel in a way kind of duped by it, because it feels like, they're going for like the gut reaction where you see tip and you're like, oh crap, 50. Yeah. Okay. 15%.
Well, I'm going to tell you also, I don't appreciate them making the no button red, because when I see that red also, it's like, oh,
exactly.
And that's green means go, red
Right.
means stop, red's bad.
Yeah.
Think about what color ink pen we teachers grade in.
Actually, I don't. I've always used green.
I don't
for
anymore.
that reason.
I use different colors. Now they're getting oranges and purples and stuff like that. But like when we were growing up, it was red ink pen. That was what the grade it was. And so
except Paul Thomas, he always used green, which is why I started using green.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, my flare pens, I just grab one and go.
Yeah.
But that's that subliminal message of pressing the red no button. I worry about that. And there's just, like I said, a sense of guilt that comes across. But no, because it's like almost like a rejection. You're rejecting. I feel like that if it's like at Julie's, service is great there.
Yeah.
But by saying no tip, I feel like I'm sending the message that, oh, your service was horrible, even if it was just an interaction for 5 minutes.
So, yeah, I mean, I think the surge of tipping expectation is, I mean, in a way, I think it could maybe spell the beginning of the downfall of tipping culture in America. But I agree with what you said before. It's almost at this point like the metric system. It's so ingrained in us that I don't know that it would be that easy for us to halt it.
I really don't think that we could halt it, again, because the cost of food prices, people are already complaining about how it's going up with inflation the way it is.
Yeah.
That if we had to build in the cost of the tip itself into the cost of food, because again, the restaurant would not take that on.
Right.
It would be all on the consumer.
Yeah.
People would boycott restaurants.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, because I mean, there are a lot of people who don't follow the standards in practice of tipping. And so, that's what I was going to say earlier about bribery. So they posed this question on the radio one time. It was a guest host that had brought it up about tipping in other service industries. Like, do you tip the cable guy?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And the host said that he tips the cable guy in advance in hopes that that's going to get him better service, quicker service. He's going to get the job done sooner, since there is such a lag.
But does it?
In terms of, he said it typically does work. But it was one of the few times that I've actually called into the radio. I called in and I told him, I said, what you're describing isn't tipping, it's bribery.
Yeah.
And he said, I was waiting for somebody to call in and say this. He said, because yeah, I do see the correlation between it, or between the two. But that was, and he accepted that. He said, I'm okay with that though, because it works. So that's, some people, would still be the mafia boss in the corner saying, hey, come here, give me a, give me some quicker service if I give you this. Here we go. So, did you like my mob boss impression?
Yeah, it reminded me of one of the weasel off of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I haven't watched that movie in so long.
You know what I'm saying? No, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. I need to watch that again.
I can see him trying to get the cable guy.
Yeah. Hey, come here.
Give you some extra dollars if you go ahead and get my service turned on faster.
Here's a 20 for you if you can get me free HBO.
I remember those days. Just flip that switch for me. I'll give you a 50.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, things like that, have definitely been going on. But again, that's not tipping. That's bribery. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of my take on it. And I totally get, your perspective, and we definitely will be revisiting the service industry in a future episode that is all dedicated to itself, and it'll probably last for about 2 hours. All right, you ready for trivia?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, what you going with?
Let's go with let's do geography. Why not? I'm probably not going to be good at this one.
Okay.
Some geography, I know. Some is like, oh.
What accounts for almost 75% of Iceland's exports?
Herring?
Fish.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What is the largest island in the Atlantic?
The largest island in the Atlantic. Is Cuba considered in the Atlantic or in the Gulf? That would be in the Gulf, right?
No, Cuba's in the Atlantic, but it's not Cuba.
Okay.
It's near.
Oh, Greenland.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's near Iceland.
Yeah.
What beer shares its name with the river that runs through Amsterdam?
It's not the Rhine.
No. You would not want to drink Rhine beer anyway.
No. Oh God.
When
Amsterdam.
I think of this, when I think of the name of the beer, Light.
Oh.
They make a regular, but they also make a light.
Yeah, I know it.
It starts with an A.
Amstel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the standard unit of currency in Gibraltar?
Gibraltar?
Yes.
Is that no, drachma's Greek. Or used to be. Maybe they're on the euro now. Anyway, Gibraltar.
Oh, you said half of it just now.
What?
You said half of it just now.
The Gibraltario?
No, it's the name of the country. Something.
Oh, the Gibraltar dollar?
No.
What?
Pound.
Oh. Which, of course, would have been my second guess.
What is the northernmost Scandinavian country?
Oh, crap. Hold on. Let me see.
Well, 3 of these questions are about up there.
Is it Norway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what country is sometimes called the land of fire and ice?
Oh, Iceland.
Okay, so that's 2 questions about Iceland, 1 question about Greenland, 1 question about Norway. Out of 6 questions, it was 4 about
all
3
in that same
countries
region.
right up there. Yeah.
That's weird. Well, and Gibraltar is just, still Southern Europe, but, Northern Africa.
Well, and the next page had the question number 1. What is the largest of the Caribbean islands?
Cuba.
Question 3. What nationality is the Muppet Show chef?
Swedish. Ingeborg. Okay, what do you want? I'm going to do all your questions in the verse of the Swedish chef.
Don't.
I'm not.
Okay, science.
Always, you don't want to try something different.
I know. No.
Your track record isn't that great on them,
Well, it's not going to be great on entertainment or geography either.
Okay. How many horns does the average of... try that again. How many horns does the average African black rhino have?
Is it 1? 2?
Yeah.
It's the one then small.
The little one. Yeah. That's I was having to visualize it too. What is the name for a baby alligator? Oh, it's obvious when you think about it. What do they come out of? Think about what they come out of.
Eggs?
Mm-hmm. Think about how they come out of them then.
They crawl? They're alive.
Hatchlings.
Okay.
What? Like I said, I didn't think about it, and then when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, duh. Okay. What essential tool did Ezra Warner patent 45 years after the invention of canned food?
The can opener.
Yes. How many seats were there across a Concorde cabin?
6?
No. 4.
So
2 and 2. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was a slender body.
Yeah. Oh, this one and this page is all about air traffic. Number 5. Which American airline was the first to order Boeing 747s?
Pan Am.
Yes. And number 6. What is the name for a baby turkey?
A giblet? I mean,
nope. A poult. Poult.
Gobble, 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 gobble.
A poult.
Okay,
sounds like
sure.
Sounds like something the Swedish chef would say.
What is it? What does it say? How do you spell it again?
Poult. Poult.
Yeah.
Poult.
Oh, I want to go ahead and kill me some poults.
Oh. All right. That does it for episode 10 from Art to Adams.
The Ultimate Curiosity Show. You guys have a great week.
See you next week. Or hear you next week. Well, no, hopefully we'll see you next week.
Well, we're not really seeing them.
They're seeing us. But hopefully you'll see us next week.
And hear us, because we're not hearing them. They're hearing us.
True. Bye.
You've been listening to From Art to Adams, The Ultimate Curiosity Show, episode number 11. Your hosts are Brandon Shoemaker and myself, Michael Folse. The show is produced by Brandon Shoemaker and is available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show to stay up to date on all of our latest episodes and news. If you have any questions, feedback, or suggested topics you'd like for us to dive into, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach us at FromArtToAdams@gmail.com. We would love to hear from our listeners, and we value your input. Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes and behind-the-scenes content. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube at From Art to Adams. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platforms. Your support helps us reach even more interested minds like yours. Thanks for tuning in, and stay curious, everyone.